Well, every day just gets better and better for me. So today I was talking to Omar in his dorm at our boarding school about Debbie, like I've been, I made up all this crap about Debbie and Simon have been secretly going at it for months behind his back and everything. He was the angriest I've ever seen him. He was stomping around, shouting the whole time. It was great. Then everything went silent and he started shaking uncontrollably, flailing his arms around, his eyes were flickering. I was laughing my ass off as he just kept getting even angrier and angrier, something I told him that wasn't even true. Me and the unconscious Omar were in the common area of the boys' dorm when Simon walked in, right? And I tell him that it's Omar's second fit like this in a few days. Simon starts rubbing his temples, and 10 or so minutes later, Omar had gotten up. A while after, Simon had already gone. But I told him to wait around for a while so I could talk to him later. Before Simon comes back in and even sees Omar at all, I tell Omar to go hide behind the thick door between the common room and the shower, which he did. Soon after he had hid, Simon came in looking for Omar and me, but I asked him about his girl, Bianca, who was a kind of a slut, like pretty bad too. I was talking to Simon about Bianca, asking about what if they're going to stay together after graduation and whatnot. The guy starts to laugh, explaining to me how he's only with her for those intense late-night games of patty cake, so to speak. At which point, Bianca barges into the room and is reasonably super pissed off by what she heard her boyfriend say, and throws a scarf that Omar had given to Debbie, which she dropped and I stole and I gave to Simon, who then gave it to Bianca.
I'm sure I love her, man. She made my soul into a piece of coal, man. I don't know. She made an ass out of me in front of everyone and me? Omar? Who's gonna insult me, yo? I don't know, man.
No.
Can't you just, get me some drugs or something? To kill her?
I might know a guy, but I have a better idea. Why don't you strangle her in the bed where she made a fool out of you?
That's a good idea. She won't see the light of day anymore.
So, after a day or so, Omar is still super pissed off, and not to mention homicidal. Him, Debbie, and I are all sitting together, which was really uncomfortable until Victor walked in. Victor's the captain of the basketball team and head of the council in charge of the student council, if that makes any sense. Asking about Simon and Omar is silent, but then Debbie starts running her mouth like she usually does, but then she says that she loves Simon and hopes to see him doing better in the future, or something like that. But on a friendly basis, right? By that point, Omar was super pissed off and decks her and just walks away. I truly had to control my laughter. Then reasonably Victor asked what was going on, what was the matter with the guy, but I told him he'd soon have to see for himself. A few days after Omar punched Debbie, which I'm still not over, by the way, it was great. I overheard the guy talking to my girl Amelia, and I stayed and listened, of course. I overheard that he was asking her if she's seen Debbie doing anything odd lately, but she said she hasn't, knowing exactly what was happening. Then at Omar's request, she calls up Debbie and asks her to come over to talk to the guy. So Debbie comes over, and Omar starts calling her a whore, and over again, whore, saying that he's turned his heart black or something, and then runs off, practically bawling. Then it's just Debbie, Emmy, and me listening by the door, of course, and then Debbie just starts. So then I walk in from standing right outside the door like I was, and Debbie asks me what's been wrong with her Omar. I lie and tell her that finals and everything have stressed him out. So I'm just chillaxing in my dorm right on my bed, like I am now, and Rod thought it was okay to walk right into my room and start screaming at me. After my heart came back down to a normal pace, he tells me that he can't anymore, that his feelings for Debbie are too much. But then I tell him that
she didn't have too much time, man. They're gonna run away together after graduation. The only way you could keep her here is to kill Simon. You'd be the man. She'd be all over you for it. Which sure isn't true, but he bought it and left, and my plan is complete. Ha 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 ha.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but my dorm window is across from Omar, so I see and hear everything. So I see Debbie in Omar's room with Amelia, and Debbie's in this pretty skimpy outfit. I'm talking to Amelia about something I can't hear much of. It seems like Amelia never stops talking in reality, but then she leaves, and I just see Debbie lying on Omar's bed, which is pretty gross after all. The things that have gone down on that thing, Jesus. Then she just starts singing this melancholy song about death and infidelity. It was soothing, to be honest. But by that point, she dimmed her lights, and I did the same, anticipating the big turnout of all my actions tomorrow. It's been a few days since we all got off on winter break, but some stay at school over the break, if they've got nowhere else to go, like me. But to my surprise, Rod shows up at my dorm, asking how we should kill Simon, and then I pull out a dusty old revolver out of my pocket, wrapped in an even dustier piece of white cloth. Take it, I tell him. I'll go with you. Simon should be with Bianca. He took the gun from me, and we made our way to Bianca's dorm. It was dark by now. I stayed downstairs while Rod went to look for Simon, until I heard Simon's screams, but not of terror as I expected, but of rage, at which point I dart up to where they were and see Simon hobbling towards a dark figure, who I assumed to be Rod. Then I heard Victor coming up behind Simon, concerned, and I knew what I had to do. I picked up the gun I had given him, which he dropped, lifted it, and fired twice at the back of his head. Rod let out one last scream and died right there. I ran up to Simon asking him what had happened, as if I didn't know already. Victor was also there, asking who had done this, and to clear up my tracks once and for all, I blamed everything on Rod. So I made the mistake of ending up back in Omar's room and see Debbie on the bed, not breathing. Her neck was real red and mangled. Amelia, Victor, and Simon coming after me and see the same thing. By that time, everyone gets there, and it became relatively obvious that Debbie was dead and I was at fault. And the icing on the cake was that Amelia opened her big mouth and told everyone. So I killed her too. Here I am trying to avoid Victor and the cops because they're after me. After Omar found out Debbie didn't do anything too, he was going to be suspended and arrested. The guy took the gun and killed himself. Here they come. It's alright. They can't do anything to me. They don't matter. He's dead. The kid's dead. What was his name? Ian. At least that's what I think it was.